full screen. Right. So dear guests, the members and friends of the BAFA, welcome very much to the meeting, the editor session today. And Jason and I gonna give a bit information about the recent developments and future plan of the journal. We understand that we are stand between you and lunch, so we're gonna make it as brief as possible, but also leave some time for discussion and questions. The comments on questions are very much welcome by the end of the session. So to begin, we'd like to congratulate on the great start of the 2020 BAFA conference. This is I believe the first major conference took place on site since the start of the pandemic. It's a very much great event of 3 days with as many as 317 delegates, with six key events and as many as more than 200 papers. So I understand many of the delegates are attended online, just like Jason and myself, and many have made your effort to attend the event in person. We would like to take the chance to thank you for the active participation and also thank the great service and contribution of the organizers and also the president of BAFA. So here's outline of our talk in this session. We're going to give some brief information about statistics of the journal, some new visions and strategies, as well as some common reasons for rejection or desk rejection. In the end, we're going to highlight a number of star papers. This is pretty much what we're going to cover today. So for those of you who are new to the conference or new to the BAFA, especially the PhD students, well, the journal BAR is the official journal of BAFA, and BAFA has a long history and established since 1947. It is a leading learning society in accounting and finance in the UK with more than 1,000 members and growing international influence and impact. But talking about the Journal of the British Accounting Review, it publishes original scholarly paper across the whole spectrum of accounting and finance. Well, we have accounting in the name, but if you are a student in finance, please also do consider to submit your work to our journal. And the journal is eclectic and pluralistic. That means we accept a wide range of research methodologies and topics. Evidence from the UK and non-UK sources are equally acceptable, and we particularly encourage studies using international sample. So since the beginning of May last year, Jason from the University of Macau and myself from Uni of Edinburgh, we took over the post as the joint editors of the journal. And we thank the Nathan and Ellen for the 9-year outstanding service to the journal and making the journal one of the best in the area of accounting finance. So next, we're gonna share you some important statistics of the journal. Well, by emphasizing the rankings, we are now saying this, the metrics is the only thing we actually gonna pursue after, but actually none of the measures are perfect, but I believe, we believe those metrics gonna provide some important information to us, although it's not the only important information. So according to the most recent measure from the Web of Science about the impact factor of the journal, which is basically measuring the citations, we are the top 2 in accounting, only after the Journal of Accounting and Economics, and top 7 with accounting and finance combined. If we talk about the Scopus, they also give a site score, which is alternative measure of the citations. We are top 3 in accounting in the world after Journal of Accounting and Economics and Journal of Accounting Research. We are also top 7 with accounting and finance combined. So basically, according to those measures, we are truly international leading journals in accounting finance. And according to the ABDC journal ranking, we also rated as A+. So next immediate goal for Jason and I is to reduce the disparity in the rankings and also further improve our ranking in certain countries, such as in the ABS, we are a 3-star. We're going to make effort to further improve it and make the journal to be a journal serving the society of BAFA, but meanwhile globally recognized leading journal in those research areas. Well, the 2021 site score has not been published yet, but according to the monthly score of April, as you may find out, our site score has increased from 7 to 7.3. That means our ranking this year gonna be there are going to be chance for us to further increase. We may climb from top 7 in the world to top 6. In the area of accounting finance. So we use the chance to thank the excellent service and contribution of the former editors, the editorial board members, the referees, and authors of the journal. And more importantly, we also thank the members and friends of the BAFA. We will very much welcome your submission as well as your input in various ways. This is statistics of submission. Since Jason and I took over the post last year, the number of submissions has further increased for about 100 a year, and we received 594 in 2021. This is a breakdown of the origin of the corresponding author, origin of countries of the corresponding author. The UK remains the dominant sources of submission, followed by Australia. The numbers of submission from China nearly doubled last year, and followed by the New Zealand, United States, and continental Europe. Well, as you may notice, the scholars in the UK and many European countries publish, they produce very high quality research, and there's a room for us to improve in terms of our visibility and attractiveness to attract high quality papers from those underrepresented countries. So to achieve the goal, which is make the journal to be a globally leading journal, we have come up with a number of initiatives. We'd like to share those initiatives with you. The first is we're going to further improve the author experience. We are possibly the only one of the leading journal which does not charge a submission fee. This is very important for scholars from developing countries where the research funding is not abundant. So the free of submission fee strategy will not, void submissions for those very potential scholars in developing countries to submit the work to our journal. Meanwhile, we urge the associate editor to take a more active role. They also review the papers before they send paper out for blind review. And in this way, they actually provide timely and constructive report to authors. As you may find out, a growing number of papers are desk rejected either by the joint editor or associate editors. It's helped them to target a more suitable publication outlet, and meanwhile save the referees' time and resources, and also reduce the turnaround time of the journals. And secondly, we try to enhance the diversity of editorial members of the accounting and finance sections of the journal. This including the diversity of the geographic distribution, the gender, and also like the age or stage of the career of this newly appointed editorial members and AEs. So in order to enhance the leadership of the journal, Jason and I have appointed 6 new consulting editors from different parts of the world, like the States, Australia, and the UK. They are leading scholars in their research areas and has rich experience in leading journals. They have actively helped us to screen some special issue proposals and give important ideas on a number of submissions in the past since they were appointed. And also we have added a number of new associate editors. This include editors from the UK, from Europe, and from the Far East. Like Liang Hao is a leading scholar in CSR, and he's from Singapore. We appoint him last year, as one of the new associate editors. We believe with their effort, we will further increase in our impact of the journal in those areas. And thirdly, we have started a new submission type, which is a research note. As you may notice, some other leading journals, such as Strategic Journal of Management and the British Journal of Management, as well as even the American Economic Review, have a new journal called AER Insight, publish research note. Well, the bar from last year, we now started to considering submissions of research note. And we believe this research note can provide timely analysis of emerging and important issues, which offers unique insight for quick dissemination. But those research notes are only considered if comprehensive setting of the data setting do not exist for more thorough analysis. And those research notes needs to be no more than 3,000 words. And the empirical analysis should be properly motivated by theories. So we give some examples of the topics people can consider to write, such as a non-fungible token, which is the emerging area in fintech, the carbon neutrality, as well as some methodological advances in certain research areas. So in addition to the research note, the bar always publish a small number of research survey articles, as well as we occasionally publish some book reviews as well. So please do consider our journal if you have research output in those formats. And fourthly, Jason and I has formalized the special issue submission procedure. So it used to be on ad hoc basis, reviewed on ad hoc basis, but now we have formalized the procedure and published the procedure in SSRN and invite submissions of the special issue or endorsed conferences from leading scholars of the world. As you may find out, the journal has published a number of special issues, quite a few special issues in the past, and many of which have attracted very high impact score for the journal. So since we published that procedure, we have received a large number of submissions. With the help of the consulting editors, we have carefully choose a small number of conferences to endorse, and also we have published a number of call for papers on special issues. So such as when the COP26 took place last year in Glasgow, we worked with Adam Smith's Business School to have an event, which is not special issue, only endorsed the conference on the climate finance issues. We have worked with other climate finance issues with the Uni of Edinburgh and the University College of London. And by endorsing these conferences, the conference presenters are encouraged to submit their paper to the journal on the regular review process. So no special issue is involved. And meanwhile, we also support scholars from developing countries. In particular, since last year, we have worked with, since this year actually, we have promulgated a new Research Excellence Award for women in the leading Accounting Finance Association in Africa, which is known as AAFA. So the conference this year is going to take place in Egypt, and we have this award to encourage female researchers in those African countries. In addition to this, the journal has worked with the BAFA regional group and the themed group on a number of events. And here we would like to give you a quick look of a number of special issue sections or conferences which are going to take place later this year or next year. So those special issues are on emerging topics like carbon finance, carbon accounting, political institution and accounting finance, sustainability reporting, as well as public finance accounting of the post-pandemic world. And lastly, another one next year on application of AI and big data in accounting finance research. So if you have suitable papers, we encourage you to submit those papers to those special issue conferences, special section conferences led by guest editors from different parts of the world. So if you're interested in submitting a proposal of endorsed conferences or a special issue or section, well, you will need to write a proposal which outline the rationale to choose this cutting edge and relevant topics. And you will expect it to have very strong international guest editor team. And also you will expect it to write a 3-page index and critical literature review survey to articulate why this area needs further development. And we provide a link to which lead you to the special issue proposal requirement. We very much look forward to further collaboration with the BAFA members and friends. So after summarizing those 4 initiatives, I also like to summarize some key reasons for desk rejection, because we believe this is gonna help the scholars, especially PhD student or new scholars, to reflect on their work, try to address those problems before submitting the paper to the journal. So the British Accounting Review published papers which addresses important and real problems or puzzles. That means we have 3 important criteria. The first one is the question is people not yet know the answer. And also it's not very much obvious, because if there has been a neighboring paper referring this, which give a answer already, and you are using the alternative measure on some existing variables to produce another paper, well, the contribution might be marginal in that case. And secondly, we want to publish papers which address a question that people want to know the answer. Well, some questions are not has been answered, but not necessarily they are important. We want to study the papers which provide relevant knowledge to the questions people like to know the answer. And thirdly, we want to publish paper which matters for people and society, which can help your paper to have a built-up impact. Here are some common issues for the rejection. So a literature gap does not naturally guarantee its contribution, because as I mentioned earlier, there might be a neighboring paper which provide the knowledge already and undermines the original contribution of your work. The second one is a common problem is a random concept connector. There are a lot of concepts in finance or accounting. By connecting them by using a regression model does not naturally build up the contribution, because the connection might be contrived, or maybe the question is completely on nature, and maybe the mechanism is a bit far-fetched. And thirdly, of course, we encourage studies work on samples both in the UK and other countries. But meanwhile, we also need to bear in mind when we look into a new country, we need to avoid the problem of narrow marginalist, because without fully explore the institutional insights of those countries, just applying the existing knowledge, existing model to a new setting may not generate a broad interest for the typical readers of the journal. And next is a lack of theoretical contribution. Sometimes we have very cool data to analyze, or we have a quasi-nature experiment, which we believe can help us to solve some problem. But we still bear in mind, well, the setting is not everything. We need to fully engage with the literature, have a very clear underlying theoretical framework for our research question. And thirdly is methodological rigor, because the literature has developed rapidly, and the bar for the methodological expectation has increased as well. So we need to fully bear in mind a number of issues, like endogeneity issues need additional effort nowadays before we can make our story convincing to the readers. And thirdly, is actually a suggestion for PhD students or young researchers, which is you must have a lot of research ideas in mind. But nowadays, I think pursuing the most promising question is and for the best of the interest for your career, because there's always a sunk or opportunity cost. One day you spend on a bigger project or smaller project, it means one day you spend on a smaller project means that one less day you're going to spend on a more promising project. So the game of the rule of the game has changed. It's not like no longer it's like counting the number of publications, but to publish important studies that people like to read and people can learn new things from it. And next, we'd like to share with you a number of star papers in the past year. But please, I'd like to emphasize that this is not the BAFA Best Paper Award, because BAFA Best Paper Award is selected by associate editors, which is going to be announced in the plenary session after lunch. But here are the star papers which given by the publisher according to their citations and impact. I can address that a bit later. So first of all, I'd like to introduce the most cited articles published all time, but according to the citation of last year. As you may find out, the papers on gender, environmental, and fintech are quite hot. Here are the leading papers in this category. The first one is about gender diversity, and second one is about environmental issues. And authors has been informed about this achievement. And the next one is a measurement according to the publication in the past 3 years, but the citation of the last year. Here are the two papers of them. The first one is internet-related technology, and the next one is about Bitcoin. And Elsevier also provide us information about the papers which attracted highest social media attention, and those papers are on financial innovation, and also another one is on Islamic finance, I believe, or Islamic finance and gender diversity. And those are the papers which attract very high media citations. So if you have a paper published in the British Accounting Review, Jason, I also encourage you to post like abstract or highlights of your paper in social media, like in LinkedIn or Twitter, which can help you to be considered for this award and also increase the impact of your paper. Well, lastly, we'd like to highlight the number of principles that of the journal for future development. So we're going to continue to adapt the cardinal principles of high quality, relevance, and originality. So to continue to reflect interest of the membership of the BAFA, and to continue to provide the best possible experience to the authors, and to maintain or improve our leading position in terms of site score and impact factor. And we will strive for more balanced development with enhanced global impact, and to maintain British accounting finance research station, but meanwhile make the bar more international. And we will aim to provide more support for researchers in developing countries, emerging economies, and support junior scholars. And also we will continue to contribute to the sustainability of accounting finance discipline, and to make the bar more relevant and responsive to the demand of the economy and society by leading, fostering, encouraging research in areas with pressing issues with significant challenge, such as sustainability issues, development issue, inequality issue, and also the recent pandemic. We also encourage researchers using the new setting or newly available methodology to apply those research tools in our understanding of accounting finance, such as AI, big data, and text analysis. Well, so this is pretty much the summary of the development of the journal of the last year. And Jason and I would like to highlight that the journal is aimed to advance knowledge of accounting finance and as one of the leading journals. And we will aim to provide the best experience for authors, and we encourage your submission as a member and friends of the BAFA. And this is a journal of this is the link of the journal if you haven't submitted anything to us. And also we open a LinkedIn account for the journal. Many of our posts attracted around 10,000 reads. So if you haven't followed the LinkedIn page of us, we will very much welcome you to follow us in LinkedIn. And lastly, I'd like to thank you again for your support and contribution to BAFA and as well as to the British Accounting Review. Now, let me stop sharing the screen. I think Jason and I will be more than willing to answer the questions or inquiries from the audience. Thank you very much. Well, I'm not sure we can hear unless you have a mic, right? Jason, how are we going to hear the?
Hi, Wen, it's Stuart. Yeah, I've just got the roving mic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Stuart, okay. Please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you for the presentation. So I'm a PhD student, so I just have one quick question. Maybe it's quite naive, but I just wonder because I saw the examples you have presented of the STAR papers. They're all written by the several authors, I think at least 2 authors. So I'm just wondering if that is possible for one independent PhD student to publish the STAR paper. Are there any examples? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jason, would I answer this one or you want to answer it?
Well, of course, we welcome any paper submitted by one single author. But to be honest, the trend seems to be like there's collaboration between 2 or more authors, researchers. We rarely see single authored papers these days.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean you have to find a collaborator.
It doesn't have to be co-authored papers. Okay. Yeah. If you or anyone can single-handedly finish a paper, submit it, it's marvelous.
Yeah, and also the STAR papers are according to the citations published by publishers. So it's not like we picked a few people's paper, name them as a STAR paper. It's actually based on the citations. For junior researcher and PhD student, we very much encourage you to submit your one of your chapters to the journal. Partially because reputation of the bar, and also the close link of the journal to the academic society of our UK accounting finance academia. For my personal experience, after I graduated from my PhD, I think one of the first paper that I wrote outside my PhD papers theses were published in bar. I very much appreciate that experience when for a number of rounds of review, I learned a lot from this. So yeah, to summarize, we very much encourage PhD students to submit the work to us.
I think just if I can jump in now, because we've got another couple of questions from the floor, but I also noticed as well, I think Pauline Wheatman's online and she's got a question. So Pauline, if you want to open up your microphone.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Stuart. I want to ask a provocative question, and I know you can both cope with it. You put out statistics that showed a quite high number of submissions, something in the 400, 500s, but only publishing 40 papers. Now that tells me some stories. It tells me possibly only bad researchers come to you, which I don't believe is right, but that's one interpretation. Another one is that the publishers are preventing you from publishing more than 40, and I would regard that as serious. And you're spending most of your time on rejections. So how are you thinking about how you can get more evidence of good research? Because those figures say to me, nearly all the researchers who come to you must be really bad. And I don't believe that. So I say it's provocative on purpose, because I want to know how you're thinking about those statistics with only 40 papers. Thanks, Stuart.
Jason, you may start.
I haven't thought of this carefully. My immediate reaction is that, thank you for the question, okay, first. It's very important question. Actually, we have, actually we discussed this actually at a meeting before, although in a different way. But certainly it's not that only the established people to publish those papers, like 40 or so every year, about the same number probably every year. We have actually the authors mixed, junior, senior, younger ones, senior ones. There's no prejudice to this younger junior academics. Actually, the journal has attracted probably submissions from all over the world, as you can see, but mainly concentrated in a few countries, like from the UK, from Australia, and recently from China, New Zealand, and several other countries. Yeah, we don't know whether we have discussed whether we want to increase the issues, okay, from 6 at the moment. I think we started from 2017. We published 6 issues. Before we had like 4 issues. Maybe we need to consider whether we increase this to like to more issues that will accommodate more papers.
Yeah, just also the rejection rate, we know is a bit low. We understand that, but the rate is actually in line with other leading journals. They have a roughly similar rejection rate, but we fully get your the point, which is we may talk to the publisher to see whether they would like to give us more volumes to publish a year, so to have more papers published. Thank you so much for the question, Pauline.
The increase in terms of number of submissions is in line with the rank of the journal in a sense. If when the journal rank goes up, and then there's more submission. For example, when the journal was ranked as a star journal in ABDC ranking in Australia, then the submission from Australia and New Zealand increased sharply, and it's still increasing. So I think this of course gives us more choices of selecting higher quality submissions. But as you said rightly, we do have to spend more time on screening the papers and also then selecting the papers, rejecting the papers, because we only publish so many papers per year.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll take another question here from the floor.
Yes, please. I'm a PhD student, and first of all, thank you so much for your presentation. I have a question, please, regarding the most common reasons for rejections. You mentioned that one of the most common reasons for rejection is the lack of theoretical framework. But I have seen a lot of papers in British Accounting Review. Some of them really make a separate section as a theoretical framework. Some of them don't make a separate section for a theoretical framework, and they briefly mention the theories within the hypothesis. And some of them didn't even mention the word theory at all. So I'm just wondering, when can we as authors kind of compromise and do not include a theoretical framework in the paper? This is my question. Thank you.
Jason, you want to go first?
Thank you very much for this question. It's an interesting question. I think actually it has something to do with how you define theoretic framework. in a sense, hypotheses can be seen as a form of theory, probably a kind of a theory-based prediction based on some theoretical framework or notions, perspectives. But if you talk about qualitative papers, we actually publish lots of qualitative papers. So those papers tend to have a named or explicit theoretical framework. Case studies or interview-based studies, they use like institutional logics or use institutional work and those framework.
That's right. So some of the theory do not have a theory in the name, but maybe it's just a paper of like a seminal paper in this important research of disciplines. But we still regard that as a theory because they were presumably the first one to provide underlying reason and also evidence on certain important mechanism or reason. So we so yeah, that's presumably the one of the reason that of your observation. But the question is well taken. Thanks very much.
Okay, we see in the chat, Sally Ahmed has indicated that she's got a question. Sally, do you want to unmute and ask the question? And then we've got another one from the floor here.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for this presentation. I have a quick question, please. As a PhD student, if I would like to have a feedback on my paper before officially submitted, are there any workshops that could help me with that? Organized by the British Accounting Review, I mean. Thank you.
Yeah. Jason?
That's one of our intentions, our plans to encourage younger researchers and also help younger researchers who probably, like the BAFA, we have doctoral colloquium or forum. We can probably do more of that. We can incorporate this kind of activities at section meetings or special interest group meetings. We can also probably plan also to run a similar events sponsored or organized by members or editorial board members and associate editors or other people who would like to do it, so that we can like to provide feedbacks to our own papers to the authors, especially the younger junior researchers.
Yeah, so Sally, so if you go to the website of the bar, we list the number of special issue events on the website. So for some of the workshops, the workshop take place first before the formal submission. And I think those workshops can provide you valuable opportunities to develop the paper before you submit to the journal for formal review.
Yeah, we encourage these guest editorial teams to organize a conference before formal submission to the special issue, so that the conference will provide feedback before the authors formally submit the paper to the journal.
Yeah.
At the moment, we have a conference on corporate disclosure. For example, they are organizing a conference in November.
That's great. Okay, we have another question here from the floor.
Okay, I have one question about writing. Some journals are very focused about writing, about the use of English, and I had experience with one journal that in the final rounds, one of the author literally have to spend about 30 hours to just to proofread line by line, comma by comma, to but that's a standard of those journals, and some other journals they are less so in terms of the preciseness of the language. So I'm just want to ask, because it's not listed as top reasons for death rejection, English not. So I just want to ask how precise and focused, and also I would say hygienic in terms of the use of English in the language about the journal.
It's probably not the top reason for death rejection or rejection after review, but it's possibly one of the reasons. Some papers are not well developed, not well written. And so we would advise you, rather than spending 30 hours reading each line yourself, maybe send the paper to a professional copy editor to polish it before submission, especially the final submission.
I'm asking this because the paper was proofreaded before submission, then proofreaded again in resubmission. In the final round, we again spend another 30 hours proofread that ourselves.
Yeah, I think we would encourage those non-native speakers, English speakers, to do that, especially if you have major changes each round. Maybe it's appropriate to get these polished by a professional copy editor, especially the final submission. Even maybe, I don't know, it's, sometimes you can see the professional copy editors, if you send the paper to them, they give you lots of comments or revisions, but sometimes they make mistakes. That's a particular trouble, I think. You have to, you yourself or your co-authors have to should probably read the paper again and again to avoid further errors, mistakes.
Okay, look, I know we started a bit late, and I know we're up against lunch, which is always distracting right at the last minute. But I think we can have one more question from the floor here, and then we'll call it to a close.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. I have a question about turnaround time. I think one thing very disappointing is for you to submit a paper to a journal and it takes about a year before they get back to you, then they tell you it's rejected. So having the chance to meet editors like you, I want to find out what are you doing to ensure that your authors actually get feedback on time so that they don't have to wait forever for that bad or sad news. Thank you.
First, apologies for this bad experience. We occasionally we have cases like this. Probably, I don't know. I have a lot of experience the situation as you just mentioned. But sometimes we got problems appointing a reviewer. And sometimes we need to approach more than 10 people before someone agrees to review a paper. Sometimes, actually quite often, the reviewers, they agreed to review, but after a long time, there's no response, like a no report, even after you chase the reviewer time and time again. So we have to reassign the paper to somebody else. Okay, so this is one of the main reasons for delay. That we were trying to minimize the delay. So we have a reminder system. Okay, if the reviewer does not respond after a certain period of time, then a reminder is sent. Then another reminder is sent, and we also now we ask the editorial office to check the status of the papers regularly. Just if there's a overdue review, then we will write to the reviewer and also the associate editor to chase them up.
Okay, Ben, do you want to add anything?
Well, just quickly, so we recently added like track record system in the reviewing portal, so we know like each reviewer got a score. So we try to avoid choosing those delayed reviewers. We try to encourage AEs to choose the responsible ones and efficient ones.
Actually, recently we have installed a function in the editorial system. So this will enable the associate editor to rate the reviewer's performance. Okay, just recently installed.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. I think we'll call this session to a close there. Thanks, Wen. Thanks, Jason, for zooming in. We'll see Wen again later on this afternoon on the panel.